Hi, I think we're ready to go, right?
I
I'm
think
Dr.
so.
Nawtej Dosanjh. I'm the strategy doctor. Welcome to Serving Up Success with a Splash. This week's episode, Pimms and Perception. AI doesn't exist. And to help me this week, I've got the usual wonderful co-hosts, Angie Snowball, Renaissance Woman. Hi, Angie.
Hi.
And Bruce Cramer, the corporate cockroach. How you doing, Bruce? We're gonna talk about AI. We're going to talk about misconceptions. We're going to talk about realities. We're going to try and make it simple. It's an introductory session, and if there's demand, we're going to have further sessions in weeks and months ahead. And we have Angie and Bruce talking about their real life professional experiences using AI. It's real talk as usual. It's unrehearsed and it's very, very, very unrehearsed. And you'll find out just how unrehearsed it is as we continue. But of course, the first thing we do is the cocktail. That's what we love about this. This week's cocktail is Pimm's. It's a British cocktail, and that's what I love about. I love Pimm's. I love Pimm's in the summer. It's the first drink of the first sunny day in London, and Angie is going to take us through how to make a Pimm's. But Angie, first, before you tell us how to make it, I have a question for you. Why are you always making the drinks? Why can't Bruce and I do that?
Well, I'm very good at this. Drinking's one of my favorite pastimes. I feel skilled and I'm equipped. I'm even going to use my fancy spoon today. All
Okay,
right. Are
tell,
you
tell
ready?
us how it works. Yeah,
Okay. So first thing you need is Pimm's. If you're in the States, this is not easy to find. You might have to go to an international place or like a large liquor store. Like if you're in the Cincinnati area, like a Party Source, Airwine, something like that. So it's a gin-based liqueur. And then Natej, I don't know what goes into it, like herbs and stuff. Like why is it brown? There's some other, it says gin-based, but it's really freaking
Angie,
good, is what it is.
Angie, I'm just good at drinking it, not explaining what it is. So you're on.
See? The only reason I paid attention was this, right? So it is usually served in a pitcher. So the recipe for a pitcher is 2 ounces of Pimm's, 6 ounces of sparkling lemonade or like a Sprite 7 Up in the US. I do put a little lemon juice in mine if I use Sprite and ice cubes. I mean, that's basically it. And to make it super cool, that's when you slice all the fruits. So you can do oranges, lemons, limes, strawberries, and I gotta ask you about this too, Natej. I kept saying cucumbers. What's up with you guys and cucumbers and oranges?
Cucumbers.
That's weird.
No, cucumbers and oranges should go to a Pimm's. I don't know what it would taste without it, but honestly, it just looks better with the cucumber and orange in there.
I tried, I really did, and it just looked like I was mixing two things that shouldn't be mixed. Like that cucumber and orange just didn't look happy together. But anyway, I do have lots of fruit in mine. I went ahead and made it because it's again, I would be messy, but we are going to use my fancy spoon. I was waiting to make something like this with me. But just mash it up real good. You don't have to muddle the fruit. You just have to like stir it in there. And a lot of times they make this ahead of time so that you can let it sit and oh, the juices go. I didn't even drink yet. And the juices go. You can also make these one at a time. So if you wanted to do that, that's what I did the other day just to try it and make sure I had it. So you mix up those fruits. Apparently, we really need a cucumber. I'm a little averse to putting the cucumber with my orange, but according to Tej, it's better. And it's really light. It's very fun and summery. I still remember the first time I had it in London. It brings back great memories. It was like Natej said, the first thing we did for summer, and to me, it's always been the national British drink.
But I noticed you put the picture out of view. I think we ought to monitor
I think you don't
because
have to, Bruce. It's birthday Eve. I can drink the whole pitcher if I want.
that this is true. And I noticed you conveniently removed that from the picture.
I did. All
And
right,
Angie,
Natej, back to
Angie,
you. Educate us.
Angie, happy birthday Eve to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Happy birthday and cheers to everyone that's
Okay.
joined us. We are so grateful you're here.
Yes, absolutely. Cheers,
Absolutely.
everyone. Again, I hope you have your cocktail. If you don't like this one, choose something else. But as always, the more you drink, the more fun we are. Cheers.
Okay, right. Let's talk about AI. We promised we were going to do this, an introductory session to AI. Before I start, I want to say that we do not, or I do not, and we do not hold ourselves out as experts in AI in terms of computer science, coding, programming. That's not what we're going to talk about. What we try and do is become experts in our field of expertise. We try to become expert in the use of AI in our field of expertise. And more about that later. All of us are going to talk about that, particularly Angie and Bruce. But here's how I'm going to start. There is no such thing as AI. Crazy, huh? We're talking about AI, and I'm starting by saying there's no such thing as AI. Well, there isn't. And this is because AI, in its current form, doesn't do any thinking. It doesn't do any reasoning, and it doesn't do any human cognition. So I just want to say before we start, cheers to the human brain, because the human brain does all these cognitive functions that AI can't do. So why do we use the term AI? Lots of reasons, which I won't bore you with because we want to get on with the content. But there are people who believe that many people believe, in fact, maybe the great majority of people believe that we will get to true AI. Some people think it's going to take about 2 years, and some people think it's going to take about 10, 15 years. But almost everybody who is an expert in AI believes we are going to get there. And that's going to be a profound change. So we're going to talk about that, right? But we're going to carry on using the term AI because it's in common usage, even though it doesn't exist right now. If you want to, what some people do is they make the distinction between AI in its current form and something called generalized AI. Generalized AI is where it becomes capable of human cognition. So with that out the way, the first thing we're going to do is just define what AI is. And although it's just one thing, it's quite good to distinguish it into two components. The first is where we take large sets of data and we feed it into some AI algorithm and we can get predictions from it. An example of that would be healthcare data. So healthcare data, if you feed in 70,000, 100,000, the data from 70, 100,000 patients, and the data is non-corrupted, it's good data, we can get some prediction about, for example, who is at risk of diabetes, who at risk of heart disease. So, of course, that would be powerful, right? That would be super powerful for doctors to get that. The second use of AI is where we use prompts and we get back video, text, almost essay like.
Yeah, what's that called? That's the one
Yeah,
I use.
that's the one you use. That's large language models, and there's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's Gemini, there's a whole host of different ones. And this is I've got a question, Angie, for you and Bruce right now. But when we got to this point juncture of defining what it is, Angie, why don't we start with you? When did you start using it? Okay. And without going into what you're going to explain later, what have you noticed are the main benefits from using large language models?
Well, I think the biggest benefit is time saving, right? I know when I first started using it, when people started widely using it, I don't even remember. It's been like a couple years now, I think. But people came to me because a lot of what I do is writing. And like, are you freaking out? Are you gonna, oh my gosh, what are you gonna do for your living? And first of all, I'm so glad you finally answered AI doesn't exist. It bothered me all freaking week. I'm like, what the hell? I'm using it every day. What the hell does that mean? That makes total sense now. Seriously though, I was like every time I'm like, what the hell? So that helps. But so what I do use every day saves me time, and I always liken it to like building a house. So if you're a construction dude and you're building a house, you're probably not going to use a screwdriver if you've got power tools available, right? Because it's going to save you time, it's more efficient, but at the same time, you have to have the know-how of how to build a house. Like I can't just walk in with my power drill and build a house because I don't know how to use that tool. So for me, that's what is the best time. It's time saving. It's a great tool for what I do that speeds up research and some of the organization of what I do.
Brilliant. Bruce, I've got two questions for you, if you don't mind. I've got two
Go ahead.
questions. Firstly,
Two.
firstly, can you get you because obviously I think it saves time for you, right? Too. Now, how much time? I know you probably haven't thought about it, sat down and wrote down, but how much time does it save you?
And that's a great, I just got to say one thing. I wish this was around decades ago when I was doing book reports at school.
No kidding. Oh my
You
God.
know,
We'll talk about
like
that
I
later for
can't
sure.
imagine.
That's a
And
whole
I'm
other
going to save
episode.
some questions for you, Nawtej, for later, because that kind of
Okay.
scares me how easy you can increase your breadth of knowledge. But it's a great question, and I would say that it cuts when I author something very similar to as Angie just explained. I like to get it down on paper, but I do run it through like Chat GPT. There's Google Gemini, there's a few products I use, but I will say it cuts my time in half because it does two things for me. One, it usually helps with the organization of my thoughts. It gives me a different perspective. I don't accept it wholesale, but now I'm down to tweaking. But the other thing it'll do, and as you know, in the coaching business, we have access to information like there's no tomorrow. It also helps you streamline how you're going to access the additional information. So I honestly believe it reduces my time by about 50%. What would take me an hour gets done in 30 minutes. It's
Okay.
it's been amazing. What
Mhm.
scares me is the idea that you don't have to put a lot of effort. And I worry about, well, at the end of the day, tools like this, artificial intelligence, the irony will actually dumb us down, will be less intelligent because we can access so much so quick via these tools. And if you didn't already author and put your thoughts down on paper, this thing will render you an opinion. And so, that's the only thing that bothers me, but it's a huge productivity booster. And I would say for anyone out there not using it, you got to get into the game because it will work against you because this does increase your productivity first and foremost, but it also allows you to increase your knowledge on various items a lot quicker than you could in the
And
past.
we still have to be careful with it, right, Nawtej? Because a lot of times the damn thing lies to me. And like I was writing for a sports guy, I don't know crap about hockey. So I had to send it to him, and he was like, Angie, that's not even a hockey word. I was like, ChatGPT said it was. So it still lies to us sometimes. So you have to be careful when you're using it too.
So that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because essentially it can help you, but if you're not an expert in the field in which you're using, for example, any large language model, you may not know how it's lying to you, right?
Right. I
Yeah,
didn't.
that's something we got to think about. Bruce talked about he's worried about dumbing it down. Angie, what do you think? Are you worried about us getting dumbed down in any way, and why?
I think so. I mean, even if you look at the beginning of spell check, right? Like, for some reason, my phone likes to think I say duck a lot. I do not say duck a lot, but I get a lot of autocorrect to duck. But like it does, and like I speak German too, but I can't really read or write it. but I can write text because it shows up for me halfway through. So there's a benefit to it there, but other ways you don't know how to spell things. I mean, people ask you all the time how to spell the silliest things. I'm like, are you kidding me? You don't know how to spell flounder? I don't know. I think there's a little fear that we got to use our brains, maybe a
Very
different
quickly
way.
then, just before we go to break, a very short answer from each of you. When did you start using it? Angie,
Geez, I don't know. Probably 3 years ago, maybe, like on a really regular
3 years
basis.
ago? Okay, and Bruce,
To say that I leveraged it day in and day out, probably 6 months ago.
6 months ago. Okay, and you've noticed a difference. Well, I am looking forward to our second segment. We're about to go to break any second now. So we are going to leave you with some music, some commercials, and a final cheers before we go to break.
Cheers!
Perfect. Time to
And we
refill.
will see you. We will see you very shortly. Please stay with us. The music is just about to kick in. See you this soon.
Are you a conscious co creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Welcome back. I was getting carried away with some minor movements. I didn't want to call it dancing, just minor side to side
It's
movements.
very
And
British
those are minor side to
dancing.
side. I was going to say it's very British. Well, my American friends, Angie and Bruce, were really getting down. So they've got better hips than me, and it shows. Okay, let's get back. Let's get back to AI. We're going to call it AI. In the first segment, we discussed the difference between current AI and what some people are calling generalized AI in the future, which will be true cognitive thinking AI. But today
Scary.
we are
Scary.
scary AI.
It is scary.
Scary
I'm
AI.
scared
We're
of
going to
my
call it
Alexa.
scary.
I'm kind of nice to her now because I'm scared of her.
Yeah, stay nice. Stay nice. Okay, I want to talk about two things. The first thing I want to talk about, we touched about it in the first session, and I've got a challenge for Bruce coming up because he said something where I'm going to really challenge him on. And so the power of AI, as far as I'm concerned, is that it augments the professional. It augments the expert. So if you're a lawyer and you use AI, large language models, to speed yourself up for additional information, for information about the legal system in another country, fantastic. You're a lawyer and you will understand what is being said. If you're in marketing, like Angie, use it for marketing, and it's going to give you information which you can decipher. You can decipher the false from the truth. Whereas if you're not an expert, yeah, sure, it may help give you some stuff, but it's not a replacement for expertise, in my view. Now, here's my challenge for Bruce before I move on to the next one. Bruce, you said that it speeds you up by about 50%. What you would do in an hour, you can now do in 30 minutes. Okay. I got to say, I think that may be an underestimate. It has the power to augment you as your expertise tens of times, maybe hundreds of times. So, was that a real estimate? And of course, we did not rehearse this and did not
Oh,
give you the
sure.
questions in advance. So
I'm not good at
know,
math, so mine was not good.
yeah, I didn't ask Angie because she's
Well,
not good at math. Let's make that clear.
so let me, I'm going to answer that honestly. To your point, could it speed me up more? Absolutely. But I still like to take that first round. But now that you said that, oh my God, let me think of this. So if I've got somebody that I don't know, reaches out to me because they might be interested in having me as a coach, believe it or not. And you know what I do as a trick now that I just learned from one of my colleagues? I can go out onto LinkedIn and just highlight, do a control C on their entire LinkedIn page and control V into, like, again, chat GPT, and it'll tell me all of the key points about that person. It'll tell me what it thinks of that individual in terms of strengths and weaknesses. And it'll also lay out a brief conversational piece. So when I do contact this person for the first time, this is probably something that's going to be of interest to him and her. And it actually lays out a coaching plan. Now imagine that by me using, so literally without having any conversation, within no more than a minute, I've got this piece of information. Now, as Angie pointed out earlier, how accurate is that? Because it's just pulling what's published on that person's LinkedIn. So you got to be very careful. But there's a thing where it probably shaved off, more than half of the conversation to begin with. And then once things are validated and stuff, you move fairly quick. The other thing that I would say is 100-fold, and I'll let you speak in just a second, Angie, but I don't want to lose the thought, is that during a meeting, I almost hate it now when I love to meet and talk with people one-on-one, but I love Zoom because when I get done, it summarizes all of my notes and pops out the action items. So to your point, that would usually take me 30 minutes is now done in a minute because I just finished the
Yeah.
call. My phantom reader comes up. It says, here's all the salient points. Here's the highlights of the meeting. And these were the action items that you both agreed to take. And so to your point, that took 30 minutes down to a minute. So now that you got me thinking, yeah, it's probably far exceeds that. I was thinking when I author, it's just me. I have to do the first shot. I can't cheat. And then I look at GPT and I kind of like, how close did I get to it?
Well, I think
And
the
also,
estimate
Bruce, sorry,
is,
go ahead, Angie.
I was just going to say that estimate too. There's so many things that are common to us now that we won't even include that. Like think about Calendly or whatever calendar tool you use, Zoho, whatever. I mean, do you remember going back and forth calling people? How about Wednesday? No, how about
Oh,
Thursday? How about Tuesday? I mean, that's stuff we don't even think about the time saved anymore. And I'm sure there's countless more.
no, yeah. So Nawtej, to your point, I don't like to admit when you're right, but yeah, it's probably more
I
significant.
think it's cute when he's right. He gives a little funny smile.
Damn him.
Yeah, I think I'm right. I think I'm right. Maybe once every 3.5 months. Yeah.
There you go. It's true.
So I think I'm good that I've got that one out of the way now until after summer. I'm really happy with myself, to be honest. So I now want to just turn the subject a little bit. Actually, one final point on that before we move to the next bit. What I'm really getting from this is that Bruce, you as a coach expert, I want to use that word because I want to keep using that word to differentiate between expertise and non-expertise. The large language model, the ChatGPT that you use, it's been really helpful for you with your Control C, Control V. It's giving you a coaching plan. But if you are not an expert, if you are not a coach and you did not have coaching expertise, that would be useless for you. It's augmented you as a coach,
Yeah, because you wouldn't know
right?
what to
Yeah.
do with it. And I was thinking, this was what I was going to say earlier, Bruce, was like you said the thing about it started a conversation. So first of all, that saves an hour right there. Because I used to coach people, make sure you go through their profile, make sure you read everything. Now it does it for you.
Right.
Fantastic. But I was curious, what conversation did it start? Does it take into account, I mean, we're going to talk in disc speak here, but are they a D? Are they I? What personality type are they? Do they take that into account, or do you have to figure that out and adjust the conversation? Because you could blow a deal in the first sentence if you were a very creative person that was talking to a very detail-oriented person and you got the wrong, like, is AI writing for you to talk or for you to talk to them?
You know,
Great.
I gotta step in here because something just clicked. I think as the experts, you know how to frame the question on ChatGPT.
Yes.
You know the question to ask. That's the edge that whatever your expertise brings to the party gets you there much quicker without having the right questions. Because to your point, as a coach, we just naturally think, God, I wonder what kind of so you can actually ask based on information they're presenting, and they will do some client insight, as it calls it. But you don't know if that's factual. But again, I think the expertise helps you frame the right question to get
Yeah.
the response and also to be able to validate that response.
Right.
And that's the edge being the expert has. Because to your point, it could be just a bunch of words on a page and it sounds great, but you don't have the context.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I was trying to, if I wanted to, I don't know, understand earthquakes, I have no expertise in earth sciences and earthquakes and geology. If I put something in ChatGPT about that, it would mean nothing to me. It would not speed me up because I started off being dumb and non-expert, and I was still dumb and non-expert in that sector. So, but
In that
listen,
sector.
let's change in that sector. Thank you, Angie. Love you.
I
Thank
was
you.
going
Well,
to say
just
he's the smartest man I know.
Oh,
But he doesn't know about
okay.
earthquakes. We found his kryptonite.
Go ahead,
So
Nawtej. I'll save it.
I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about next because I have not talked about this with you before. I want to place AI in the context of other massive change, epoch-defining moments in human history. The agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, the urbanization. These urbanization is still going on. Urbanization started several 10,000, 12,000 BC when the first cities rose. It is still going on. 14,000 years later, it's still going on. The agricultural revolution lasted thousands of years. The industrial revolution was hundreds of years and still going on to a certain extent. So this is one of these major changes in human history. This is a huge moment. And when Bruce said we need to really get involved, I thought, oh yes, I've got to talk about this because this is such a big change. This is a profound, defining change in our human history that we've got to get on and somehow embrace and get involved in. There is no point ignoring AI. There's no point ignoring large language models and machine learning because it's not going anywhere else. Guys, Any thoughts on what I've just mentioned in the last 30 seconds before we go to break and we hand over the baton to you guys?
Just 100% right on that. And the other thing is the speed of it. Like you were saying, urbanization's been going on for 14th and it will continue. But man, I mean, I feel that we live in the Jetsons. Things that happen in the Jetsons are happening all the time. And AI is part of that. Remember, teledoc, Zoom meetings, all that kind of stuff. It's so fast. Everything's so, we do things 5 years ago we couldn't do. We could now we
What
couldn't do 5 years ago.
and I got a comment. You know, we talk about the pace of change and how it can leave you behind. AI is the tool that's going to allow us to catch up and stay caught up.
Great
AI
point.
is going to
Great point, Bruce.
increase our ability to change at a much faster pace with everything else. So yeah, you've got to grab hold of AI and really start exploring the different tools one at a time. Get in the game.
Yeah. Get off of TikTok,
Brilliant
get
point.
into AI.
Okay, we are just about to hear the music, which signals that we're about to go to break. When we come back, Angie and then Bruce will be talking about their detailed use of ChatGPT is the one they use, and they will talk in detail about how they use that. So stay with us. We're only going to be a minute, 2 minutes, and we will be right back. So see you then. Cue the music.
Angie,
Welcome
I'm going to
back.
need your picture. I'm getting low.
And Angie, you're on mute.
Sorry,
When
it
you've
looks
got
like
off
we're going to
mute,
have to fly to Sanibel.
so Angie, could you, when you finished giving Bruce another drink, pouring Bruce a drink, we would love to hear about how you, as a marketing expert, use AI in your day-to-day work. Over to
So,
you.
yeah, I use it for a lot of different things. So, I use it to create content calendars to give people ideas for themes that we might use. I usually write for LinkedIn specifically, so I know what kind of keywords they want and the tone that they want. And then I will put that into chat, or if I'm doing it for Google, I put it into Gemini and say, can you reword this post? Because Gemini is going to pick the words that Google wants to hear because it's a Google thing, right? Or Copilot for Microsoft. There's lots of different ways to do that. So use that. I also use it for now, Paint Core guys, Paint Core Cincinnati North are amazing people, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. They're the best painters around. They have this new freaking robot, speaking of AI, that like paints your logo on the wall. They're the greatest people ever. But my knowledge of paint is about this much, which is really, really tiny. So after about a year, I ran out of things to talk about. And I was like, what am I going to talk about these people? So I used it for like idea generation. So I was like, what's popular? What's trending in this industry? Because I work with all kinds of industries. I got painters, roofers, business coaches, franchise advisors, you name it, burritos. I got all kinds of stuff. So it helps me stay up with the trends. I also use it because we create a lot of podcasts or do a lot of video content, and I will upload it into Otter. AI and just take the sound and say, hey, can you summarize this for a post? So I don't have to write the intro post. It will do it for me. Now, I always mix it around, because everybody's got their words they use or they would never use. So I always try to personalize it, but the bulk of the work is done for me. Even creating clips, I'll load that into Otter and say, hey, can you pick out 3 of the best clips from this podcast? And it'll give me the timestamp, and then I know where to cut them out when I video edit. And so I mean, I could go on and on. I use it for all kinds of stuff. Pictures. I use Canva
Yeah.
every day. And Canva's so cool. Even your phone is so cool now, right? We were at conference and there was this great picture of Steve and his wife. And then somebody's butt was like right in the middle of it. I'm like, what is that guy doing? Like, how did he get there? And why is his butt like right in the middle? And you can like just touch that guy and only make that guy disappear. And it looks like he wasn't even there, right? Just outlines that guy and his butt and out he was gone. And still have a great picture. So, and I'm a terrible picture taker, which isn't a great thing for a marketer. So I use all those editors too and say, hey, can you fix this? It was fuzzy. Or I took this in bad light. Can you fix it? And it does that stuff for me. Whereas before, I was just posting a bad picture because I didn't have time to mess with it. And I really didn't have the expertise to mess with it. So now it's like, hey, can you fix this? But you do, again, you have to know what to ask it. You can't just say, can you fix this? Because it'll come back and say, I don't do this. You have to say, can you please take this guy's butt out of the picture? Or can you please, make it lighter in the corner? Or can you get rid of this pole? Like you have to be specific, so you have to know what you're asking. But I use it all the time in Canva, Chat, Otter. Those are even on my phone because I use them so much. And like Bruce said, I also use Crisp. Sometimes I use Fathom for note takers. I like Crisp because it's also noise canceling. I have a dog who likes to bark at Amazon Man. But those things take great notes, summarize, give you action items. That I used to sit there and do that for a half hour. And it's something I hate. My personality is really bad at. So honestly, it's made me a better person too. Because I'd start and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm bored. And I'd leave and forget the notes, right? I only get halfway through it. So I think that's good for AI stuff too. Kind of helps you with your weaknesses.
Angie, I have a question. Could we do an entire show where you are talking about this stuff just for me?
It'd be boring as hell, but I would do it for you,
Oh,
Nawtej.
yeah,
I'd do
well,
anything for
forget
you.
everybody else because
We can
I mean,
take
I got so much out of that. Seriously,
That
seriously, I didn't.
that's a
Wow,
straight bourbon show. I'm just saying.
that, you got it. It's a Kentucky bourbon show.
Oh, just so you know, his glass is getting empty. That's why he thinks it'll be exciting. But yeah, for real though, you could go for hours. It's like when people ask you to do a coaching, because I train companies sometimes. I could do like a half day on LinkedIn and always include enough AI, and they always want AI for dummies. I'm like, which one? Like, which one we want to use? It's such a hard thing to like squeeze into a small time because there's just endless. And those are the ones I know. I mean, there are countless ones. People ask me all the time, like, this is I have pet peeves too. Are you using Fetch? No, I don't know what Fetch is. I've never heard of it. Oh my God, you're not using Fetch. No, there are like 300 of them, bitch. Sorry. But seriously, witch, there's like 300 of them out there. Like nobody can, in real person can keep up with this. So you got to find the ones that work for you, learn how to use them, get good at them. Nobody needs 100 of them. You need the ones that work for you. So.
Wow, wow. I'm genuinely impressed, Angie. I knew you were good because you do my posts, but yeah, I am
No.
totally blown away. I am totally blown away. Bruce, please now let's talk about your stuff. But
Yeah.
did you know half the stuff that Angie talked about there? Were you aware of this?
No, because Angie does it for me. That's the other thing.
That's
This
funny.
helps you create those partnerships that you really need. Um,
Yeah. I
so,
mean,
so I already talked about that, I'll use it when I'm publishing an article or creating something or even a script for an interview that somebody's going to do with me. I will, you know, kind of do the high level brush work on it and then throw it through GP and it'll actually put it in a script that I can then share with the interviewer. But I talked about content. I talked about what a lifesaver it is for meetings, captures all the notes, sends out the action items. But some of the other things that I use it for is that, as a coach, um, it's important that when you first meet with the client, like I said, you could go out and I use that. But the other thing is to do market research. So if I'm in an industry that I've only scratched in my 60 years plus that I've been around, I will just do some industry research. So I'll say, what are the hottest trends for this particular client that I'm going to speak to the first time in their industry? What are the hottest trends? I will also, through a list of good questions, try to verify where they sit within that industry. So I try to get just some basic intelligence. The other thing that I do is, people are recognizing I talk too much. Well, and I write too much. So I always talk about word economics. So once I sit back and I make sure before I feed it into Chat GPT, what I've written, what the salient points from my perspective, I will sometimes have it just, do word economics, refine it for me, make it much more concise. Recently, Nawtej, you and I were working on a program that we're now offering. Not going to be too selfishly promoting here, but we are offering a program for PMO leads and delivery leads. And I wanted a tone that really conveys what a coach is versus maybe a coach in your workplace or a mentor, because the coach gets thrown around. There's millions of us out there. But as Nawtej and Angie and some of our other colleagues, what we do is try to create a real safe, non-judgmental environment in which you can be really comfortable in being vulnerable. Because when you display your vulnerability, that's when we can really add value in terms of your success individually or your business. Well, to soften our language, because I can be pretty bold and direct, I'll sometimes
No.
say soften the message because I don't want to scare people. Because at the end of the day, I'm at and on your side. So it'll set tone for you. You can actually set a tone. Now, the little shit in me. So, I've been into poetry, but I can't write poetry. But not that long ago, Moo, one of our six rescue pets, we still have six, but he had passed, and he was by far and away Noel's, like, oh my God, they really bonded. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to kind of like write a poem? And so I talked about the sunshine on the island and how Moo like to just run and all that sort of thing. Well, I wrote a poem like in 10 seconds. And unbeknownst to her, I just said, "Hey, I was thinking about you and Moo." Well, then I panicked because as she was reading, tears were just coming down and she was sobbing and she goes, "Oh my God, Bruce, this is so heartfelt. Oh, you captured the essence of and now I'm thinking, how am I gonna back my way out of this? So even just but then I thought, when you write a thank you note or you want to say something special, um, you know, this does help. I mean, it'll help you got to give the words, you got to ask the questions with the words that you want to convey and the feeling you want to convey and the tone you want to convey. But it's amazing. So I digressed a little. Um, the other thing is for,
I'm moved. I am moved to Bruce. You're the corporate cockroach, and
but
you're writing
now
poetry.
I wonder with artists, being a former, well, still a musician, but haven't played in a while, just how many Chat GPT songs are out there in pop culture. Uh, because I remember back when we would write as a band, coming up with the hook, this, that. I'm thinking, man, if we had Chat GPT, how could we have shortcut a lot of the songwriting we did way back when? And so, it's amazing. I mean, for leads, I'm now working with a program within our organization and with Angie and Nawtej, where AI is heavily leveraged you have to define your ideal client, but once that's defined and you put it in, it'll generate leads for you and it'll take advantage of bots and all that kind of stuff. But that's, I think I'm still I'm an infant in the AI world right now. What I can say is being a coach, where we operate solo most of the time, AI is like having an entire staff behind you
Yeah,
in
that's
terms of
true.
serving
And
as an
yeah,
editor, read these thoughts. Does it make sense? So it's become a very close ally and partner of mine. And
hey,
I'm just
Bruce, I think
excited
the
to,
music's gonna cut us off.
okay. So I think
Bruce,
just one last comment to Angie's point, though, is start with one tool because there's hundreds of tools out there. Start with one, but maintain your personality. By going slow, you'll make sure your personality emerges from the use of AI and you don't just turn into some bot. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great advice. And what came across there strongly, Bruce, from my point of view, is that, and we haven't talked about this before, that your prompt engineering, your questions you ask are really top drawer. You really think about it very carefully. And same with you, Angie. You've got this nailed. I am blown away by what you two are able to do on AI. Can I get some coaching from you two just before the music starts? During the break, can we organize some coaching sessions for me,
Says the
please?
guy who has a university that teaches about AI and medical.
I've got one point. I got one question,
Make it quick, Bruce.
Tej,
Make
when
it
we
quick.
come
We're
back.
going to the
I'll
music.
keep it when we come back because it's a
No,
loaded
do it quick.
question.
Do it quick now. We got 20 seconds. Have you got 20 seconds?
Well, I want you to think about the programs that are out there to detect the use of AI.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it with that.
I'm really happy we're going to music because I did not want to answer that question right now. So, cue the music, Jesse, because I'm making a long break, Jesse. Welcome back. Lucky for me, I'm going to ignore Bruce's question for now because we have some listener questions that I'm going to go straight to. The first question, Angie, can I give it to you? Real question. What is the from Sherry? She says, real question from Sherry. What is the difference between all the AIs, Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot? Which is better? Angie?
So I think that's like kind of like Bruce's question. It's a whole nother episode because they're all different for different reasons and something we could go into. But I don't feel like any of them are better than the other ones. It's more what you get into. We got Apple people, you got Android people. Sometimes it's just the way you see it and the way your brain works. But I also know her, so I will get with her and give her a lot more details. And we probably could do a show on that, guys. I think it'd be an interesting topic.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I have a couple of colleagues, and one of the things they do, like, we have Gemini with Google, which tends to be very integrated in the Google suite of things. So if you're a heavy Google wig, maybe Gemini is more. But what people are doing, like there's Claude, which is pretty popular. But what they do is they'll go for an answer in Chat GPT. They'll write something and say, ChatGPT thinks this is the best way to describe this, and they'll put it in Claude. Well, then Claude kind of like takes offense and like, no, this is so they're actually using some of the AI tools as rivals to get something more
That'd
succinct
be fun to
or
see the answer
rich in
there.
content. I have not tried that, but I'm seeing others say they're doing that, which is just amazing. But nonetheless,
I've got to say I do that. I compare between Claude and
okay.
GPT. Yeah. So
Well,
and
of
it's fun.
course you would.
Fun.
I know.
It's fun.
It's
But another question for Angie, and then the next question is for Bruce. Hey guys, question: should Angie be polite to Alexa?
All right, I'm pretty sure this is
That's a
either my
real question.
husband or my son. I'm pretty sure because Alexa and I have been in some real knockout, drag down fight. Like really, sorry, I really don't like you. She's mean to me. She doesn't listen to me, and she listens to everybody else in the family. So yes, I should be because I'm scared of her a little bit, especially now that Nawtej told me in 2 years they're gonna think and take over pretty much. But I'll start being nicer. I promise. Sorry, Alexa.
I love the way you sort of changed what I said, added some words, took some other words away. Said 2 years I should be really scared because they're going to take over. So I love the way you did that. You should write. Bruce, I've got a comment. I've got a question for you. LinkedIn comment. Also, I've understood that true intellect involves emotion. Since a machine cannot have emotion, will we ever see a true AI? What's your view? I've got a view on this too, but what's your view?
Yeah, I definitely the answer is Yes, we will get, and this is the part, and I wonder, and this is just me thinking out loud, that part of the reason why we're not seeing more of reasoning, because as Nawtej elegantly pointed out, we don't have real AI because we don't have, right now it relies on data and patterns. It's not reasoning, it's not thinking on its own. However, I believe there's probably some experiments out there where they have this thing thinking for itself, and potential, but the ramifications of that go well beyond us, and and until they deal with some of the ramifications of that, will it actually be released? That's just a personal view that there's probably elements, well, not probably, I'm sure there's elements, and I'm sure emotion to some degree, there can be some kind of and I can't think of the right word, a rhythm built around that to absorb some of that. But it'll be interesting how that level of AI gets introduced in society in general, because I'm sure, I'm positive in the world at large, from a military standpoint, these things are being worked on. That's just my view, for whatever it's worth.
Mm. What do you think,
I would just
Nawtej? I
add,
saw that come in. I was like, I want to know
yeah.
what you think too.
Well, so my view is that I don't know is my view, but there are people who everybody would universally acknowledge that they are experts in the field. I'm not gonna name names, but they believe that AI will evolve into true emotion, into the use of true emotion. And so what Bruce is saying is the view of some out there, and not just some people who are just expressing a political view or a sensational view. They are genuine experts in AI. They've been involved with AI from the beginning, and yeah. So I don't know
Yes.
personally,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
not
think
really
so.
new, is it? It's interesting too, because remember, I guess maybe this old movie, but remember Short Circuit, where the like, Johnny Five is
Yeah,
alive, and like it was so unrealistic back then. But I think what you're saying now, Tej, like, oh my gosh, I maybe, yeah, like it's something that for me, I couldn't say actually see. Like it's weird for me to conceptualize. But
yeah.
logically, factually, I have to look at that and think, so was walking sidewalks when I was moving sidewalks when I was a kid, or so was Zoom 10 years ago. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't know, that's crazy.
To Natej's point too, please give us comments on this, because we do have access to experts around this. Because unlike my response, I just want to say I'm not an expert, but you can see the power of this. But we certainly, based on where do you want us to go with this conversation, we're not going to dedicate every episode necessarily, but certainly subsequent episodes, if you give us some direct questions and thoughts and comments, we can frame it up so that we can dedicate, the entire episode and have a much richer, and have additional people with us that are in the know. Because this is an interesting conversation. Like Nawtej said, it's pretty earth-shattering where this could go, and the ramifications of it are huge.
Yeah, definitely.
And this was just the introduction. Angie,
Well,
go ahead,
Yep.
please.
I know. No, I was just thinking more about Sherry's comment. If anybody has questions about like AI, and again, not to be self-serving, but this is might be helpful. Once a month, I just had it today, so it's the second Thursday of the month. We have a group mastermind that's focused on LinkedIn, but we always talk about new AI. So we always talk about what's helpful to create content and content calendars and stuff like that. So if anybody else had questions like that, we talk about those things for an hour once a month in our LinkedIn Loop group. Because all this is
Angie,
just scratching the
Bruce.
surface.
Okay, this was just the intro. Angie, Bruce, I just want to thank you for as usual, as we did last week. Total sort of we come in, we're unrehearsed, and you just make it everything fun and great. We are about to go. We're going to hear the music in a moment. We will explore more topics about AI. We'll go deeper as far as you want, as far as our listeners, you out there want us to go. In the 30 seconds that's remaining, I'm going to ask Angie and Bruce for just one final thing. Angie, you go first, and then Bruce, and then we will cue the music. One final thing, Angie?
Oh, I would say grab onto AI. Don't be afraid of it. One piece at a time.
Fantastic. Bruce?
I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you for joining. And as Nawtej pointed out, let us know exactly what you want to hear from us, AI or any other topic. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for being here. Thanks, Dr.
So
Nawtej, for
guys,
keeping
thank
us in
you.
order.
Cheers. Happy birthday,
Enjoy
Angie.
your Pimms. Stay curious, and thanks for joining us on Serving Up Success with a Splash. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Cue music, Jesse.